Welcome to Mansfield Matters, your home for all things stat.
Craig's at the mic, his passion's bright, with metaphors you can't ignore, and anagrams that make us groan till everyone starts to moan.
Who is Randy Once?
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. Where's Nathan gone? He's never on. The blind Stag's late, not gonna wait. Cam's watching Hollyoaks again. He's useless anyway. Let's just begin. We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. And now, introducing the world's greatest announcer. Alan brings the joy and light, while Clive keeps sense in sight. Nick's got shirts for every day. Jim's our super sub. Hey, hey! The chat rolls on. Your prediction. We give match reports and witty retorts, while Craig reads questions from his list that leave us all feeling pretty miffed. Time's almost up. Done! We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield town every day. That's all for this week. Probably-ish.
Football is our religion. One Call Stadium is our church. Nigel Clough, the God we choose to believe in, and by name, I am your priest. And this is the Sunday Sermon.
Classic.
As August comes to an end, it's time to gather together once again to reflect on the opening month of the Sky Bet League One campaign, wrapped up with a 1-1 draw against 10 Men Lincoln. With the transfer window still open, we'll take a little look at what's left and what's needed within the squad, and, as we say, recap that opening month and look ahead to September. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast, the place to have your say on your team on this Sunday evening.
Never used to get the little R on there.
From defeat on the opening day at Burton to a 1-1 draw at Lincoln, with a trip to Everton in the Cup in between and a win over our local rivals. It's not been a bad August, has it? Let's discuss it all on the Mansfield Matters Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your sermon has begun.
Yeah, I've got it on my phone as well. Here we go. Well, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to a very special Sunday sermon. We've not done these for a few years. We decided this year on the Mansfield Matters Podcast at the end of every month to all get together to banish the screens and to talk all things Mansfield Town and review the month that has just happened. I can't speak properly because, to be honest, I've still got cake taste in my mouth and it was very, very good. So there you go. Joining me at Mansfield Matters HQ to talk all things August and all things Mansfield Town, we've got Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame. Good evening.
Hello, Craig. Hello, everyone.
We've got Clive of Clive Parking fame. Good evening, Clive.
Yo.
You need a microphone to talk. You have to remember to. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we can hear you there when you don't use a mic. But
good evening.
That's better. Because he forgets, you see. And we've got Jim of Jim Evans fame. Evening, Jim.
Evening, Craig. Evening, everybody.
Thanks for joining us as always. Now, as ever, if you want to have your say on your team, you can do so via the comments below if you're watching the live feed. If you're listening to the audio version of this, then of course, make sure you find out when we're next going to be live and drop us a comment. Come and join us on the live feed and have your say on your team. Right, plenty to talk about. We are going to recap, of course, August and go through the entire month and just sort of have a look back on what we've missed and all of that sort of stuff as well. But let's start off yesterday at Lincoln. Now, full disclosure, none of us went to Lincoln yesterday, but we did watch it. So we've either seen the highlights or watched the whole game. So we did see it. We can comment on it. But yesterday, none of us could actually get to the game. But there you go. That happens quite a lot here on Mansfield Matters. But Jim, I'll start with you. It's a frustrating one because against 10 men for 60 minutes of the game, you're thinking, surely we should be coming out with all 3 points. But quite often, it's difficult to play against 10 men. But also, on the back of having played Wednesday night, that definitely played a bit of a factor in Mansfield not quite hitting where Nigel Clough wanted them to hit yesterday.
Oh, definitely. 10 men's always harder. I always think it's like the 300 Spartan effect in it. They dig in and they make a point of getting something from the game. But it was always going to be 48 hours after Everton. It was always going to be tough, especially going there, which is probably the one place you don't want to go. So, yeah, to get a point was a good effort, I think. And you're quite happy with that, to take that before the game. Yeah,
massively happy to take that before the game. I think one thing we sort of said in the car live after Wednesday night on the way home, besides talking about Bert Barry's pork butchers, was, of course, about the impact it would have on Saturday's game, especially considering that Nigel Clough didn't change it at Everton. He made a couple of changes before the Lincoln game, but you could really see that there was a lot of legs struggling to sort of get in the game. And Lincoln, to be fair, used that to their advantage, didn't they?
Yeah, of course they did. And why wouldn't they? I mean, it's not normal for us to play Wednesday and then Saturday. And the Wednesday was an accommodation for the Premiership side, not for us. But, you know, it is what it is. We turned up, we were a bit leggy, a bit tired. And I think a week off will show a completely different level of energy.
Yeah, I think that week off's going to be critical for us, Nick. But the important thing is Nigel Clough, regardless of the competition, regardless of the opposition, always says when we lose a game, the next game we don't go and lose. And we didn't do that. We got a good point. I think it was a good point in the end.
Yeah, it was a really good point, actually. I didn't expect it. I think Keely's just said in the comments she expected a loss. I did go for a loss in the predictions, but that's my normal tactic to get us to win. But yeah, I definitely take a point. I think the 10 men, you know, we've got to discount that a little bit because we never do well against 10 men. We didn't lose. We could still easily have lost if we hadn't have scored that late goal. You know, we still would have lost even against 10 men. So to keep the unbeaten run going, which Clough's, as we've known before, he's a bit of he runs in streaks, doesn't he, Nigel? So if we can keep the habit of not losing and take that into Saturday with a bit more of a rest, then I think overall we'll look back on this at the end of the season as a good point, definitely.
I mean, the referee certainly took centre stage yesterday, Jim, but I think for us, we perhaps got a little bit fortunate in that red card happening when it did. No question that it wasn't a red for me. It's a clear goal-scoring opportunity. He's got his arms all around him, and the fact that there's a covering defender is irrelevant because he was clean through on goal, and I think it was a clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity. I think 5 yards further forward, it would have been a yellow, but I think the position on the pitch sort of justifies the red card. But I think that red card was a massive helping hand for us in some ways because 11v11, especially in that first half, I just felt it was a matter of when, not if, Lincoln would score. And I don't know, at 11v11, even at 11v10 for sometimes, I felt like they were going to go on and score a second. And maybe at 11v11, we may have been on the end of a similar result to last season.
Yeah, although we got a better goalkeeper this time. But it's probably a bit of a leveler, wasn't it, having an extra man. And you could tell, I mean, I've seen the highlights, you could tell there was a lot of tiredness throughout the whole side. But, well, yeah, you're right, it was a red, no doubt about it. And at least it was a bit less running around having the extra man. But, you know, yeah, it is what it is. There's no arguments about the red.
The important thing, Clive, is with the fact that we've managed to get back in the game. We were pushing and pushing. And we said on Wednesday night that we felt that we needed to make changes at half-time. We were all saying it in the group chat yesterday when we were watching the game. And the one thing that Nigel Clough did actually do was make changes. He made a string of changes. I think he made 4 at the break, didn't he? And it had an instant impact.
Yeah, I think it was inevitable he would make some changes because we were a bit lacklustre from what I could see in the first half. And as you say, the saving grace was they lost a player. They had to reshape and change their tactics a little bit. and that helped us to see that half out of the way. We were a much better team in the second half in terms of our attacking prowess. The stats support the fact we were trying really hard, in lots of efforts on goal, lots of attacking procedure. But our biggest problem has been, and it was on Saturday, we're not converting them enough. We're not making enough clear-cut chances than them being knocked in. And it was really good to see that the goal we did get was well crafted and came about as a result of football, not fluke.
Yeah, very good team goal, Nick, wasn't it? Little Nobby Welsh on the end of it. Nice little bit of overlapping runners as well. The space when you 10v11 does allow you to do that, but even at 11v11, I think we've definitely got that within our locker. For me, though, I don't know about you, we definitely need to sort of look at addressing that clinical finishing, because for all of our opportunities in moving the ball forward yesterday, we just didn't have anyone with that killer instinct.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is, because I know it's completely different in the game, but when you watch them warming up beforehand, and we've said this in a couple of games, I think it was Burton, the first game, they practiced and they were pinging them in the top corner of the practice goal for a good 10, 15 minutes before the game. Just every shot they took was top corner, bottom corner, and then Evans got a chance after 2 minutes and he just fluffed it. So I don't know whether it's composure, whether it's just a bit of confidence, I don't know, but we don't seem to have anybody who, even Marish, you think he's the one who you think, he'll have the composure to do it, and then he showed it against Blackpool last year, and then again on Saturday. That he's missed one of the easier chances. I'm not sure. It's difficult. I think Gregory is one of the ones we've seen really with that natural instinct. There isn't many more we've had. Although I'd argue Dwyer's pretty composed in front of goal. But the main thing is we're taking chances. At some point in games, and when we thought that goal was really well worked. I thought Mariah Welsh's little dummy, I thought was really good. Little Nobby Welsh.
Thank you. Give him the proper names.
Little Nob. I thought his Little Nob's dummy was great, and I think it just showed how much space there was available with a couple of quick passes. And I know we'll discuss more on Wednesday night, but the real difference between what we saw at Everton is that they do things first time, and we take that little bit of a touch, and then the space is gone. I think that showed with those quick 4 or 5 passes how much space there was available when we attacked clinically.
And really important for little Nobby Welsh, Clive, wasn't it, to get off the mark and get on the score sheet. He's had a couple of starts, and he's done all right in the wide areas, but he's lacked a little bit of end products quite often. So to see him getting his first goal and contributing within those stakes, and he sort of said, didn't he, that he's put in the work over the summer. His post-match interview, he said, if that chance would have fallen to me this time last season, it'd have been in the stand. So he's really pleased with his progress. Good for his confidence.
Yeah, and he needed it because he's not really shown a great deal in the league games that he's played in. In fact, in the cup game at Everton, he was a pretty anonymous player throughout. And I think if you can't get yourself up for a game like that, the questions need to be asked. So is it an attitude thing? Is it a fitness thing? Was he just out of his depth? I don't know. But from what I could see, he certainly contributed much more to the game when he was brought on at Sinsel.
What have you made of him, Jim, so far? You nicknamed him the Piranha in pre-season. I don't think that nickname's going to stand up, but given his performances so far. But little Nobby Welsh has got a ring to it.
I think he's got a lot to offer. He's still a young lad. He's probably settling in. He's probably not got his best position. I'm not sure he even fits into the 4-2-3-1 we like to play. It's too early to judge him, really. But I think he's obviously got quality. As you look at his YouTube footage, he's got some good things. But what was pleasing was he was our 9th goal scorer this season, which
early doors. That's really impressive, isn't it?
I think that's been skated over. I think, and before the end of August to have 9 scorers is bodes well.
It does, but it is also a worry, Nick, for me that, like we've just said, that there is that lack of natural goal scorer. I don't want us to rely on one player like we have done previously, but I would have a little bit more confidence if we had a player, especially when we're playing this 4-2-3-1, getting balls in the wide area, to chuck themselves at crosses. We saw it time and time again at Lincoln yesterday, and we've seen it a couple of times in the previous games throughout August as well, where we get the ball in a good area, and all we're thinking now is, right, put a good cross into the box and someone go and attack it. But it floats over the box and it ends up with the opposite winger because there's nobody in the box to be that big physical presence to just chuck themselves at it in the air. It's a little bit too pretty sometimes.
I think part of me thinks it's a bit of a Cloughism because every striker we've signed, other than I would say Lee Gregory, their game is all about doing more than just scoring goals. You look at Akins, you look at Evans, you look at Dwyer. A lot of them, they do a lot of stuff off the ball, which then means that half the time they're not in the position to score a goal. Oates is exactly the same, The ball comes in the box and Oates is normally the one putting it in the box. Evans at times done the same. I think, like you said, I think we do still need somebody. And maybe the lad from Forest might be the one, but I don't think that's his game either. I think we need somebody still up front, and I don't think Gregory's going to be the answer. Slightly worried again that Clough referenced Oates in his interview.
Yeah,
we just need to discount him. He's not going to play that much. He had a couple of games that everyone said he's back at Burton, and then he played 190 minutes, and then he's done for again. So I think Clough needs to stop thinking about Gregory and Oates and start thinking about somebody else. I know he said there was one that fell through maybe this week, so maybe
I don't know. I really feel like I'm on a lonesome island with the Oates thing, because I still think when he gets fit, he will be a massive addition for him. But I can't deny that for him to play 190 minutes and then to struggle to pick up.
It's happened so many times.
It's how often we're going to do it. Jim, sorry, you were going to reply to that. Sorry.
I think Clough knows all this. I've watched his interview. I think he's just playing it cool, isn't he? He's a classic poker player. He'll know all this, and I'm sure there's irons in the fire. And I'd be amazed if we don't bring a striker in tomorrow. They don't have to be a prolific goal scorer. Just someone who can hold it up and bring everybody else into play. But I'm sure we'll see one.
I'll be amazed if we do bring a striker in tomorrow, to be fair. Having listened to what Clough said in his post-match, he almost said that his focus, Clive, isn't on bringing in a centre-forward. It's on a potential Regan Hendry replacement, which might have been a little bit of panic compared to him having to go off. He might know a little bit more, and he might have maybe let his guard slip a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit longer than what, it's a bit more serious than what we anticipate it to be. But the fact that he's still sort of a little bit hesitant to talk about this striker and to just let it be open for Lee Gregory, who, he doesn't have to make his mind up by 7 o'clock on Monday. He's a free agent. We've not re-signed him on a contract, so he's not registered with us. We may still be paying him a bit of a wage. I don't know how that's working, but he is essentially a free agent, so we can sign him when we want. But it's still a bit of a concern for me on that front.
Well, according to Clough, they were on the point of signing a striker, and who then got injured. So we'll probably figure out who that might be, looking around the place. But that's not happening, and he's casted his attention towards a cover for the injured midfield Regan. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do either. But you made the point earlier about having 9 people on the scored for the Stags this year. That's a bit of a saving grace, because we haven't got that striker who's picking up the goals. It might have been had Gregory been playing. And evidence of having a striker whose job is purely to go and get goals is up the road in Bradford at the moment, one of our ex-players. Will Swan has scored 4 games on the trot, and he looks to be enjoying the role he's got. He never seemed to enjoy the role he was given at Mansfield. And to pick up on your point, Clough wants the strikers to be more than strikers. He wants them to dig back. Not every striker can do that. Then they lose favour of Clough and they don't get played.
Do we think we've already got a Hendry replacement, though, in the likes of Maris? And Mariah Welsh can play there. To an extent, I think Aaron Lewis can play there. Certainly Bolton could make the switch to the middle if you need to and play somebody else on the right or left wing. I feel like we've got cover for Hendry. I might be wrong, and maybe he's just doesn't want to alert other clubs now that we desperately need a striker and charge more.
That's what it is. It's just a game.
It's probably that. But if I don't think, for me, in my personal humble opinion, that we need a replacement for Hendry. I think as good as he's been, the likes of Maris, Mariah Welsh, Lewis could adequately cover for a number of weeks, in my opinion.
Maris needs to be played there, though, and given the opportunity to do that. He was a little bit yesterday, but there was another subtle tweak in the formation yesterday. With missing Lewis Reed, rather than going for the 4-2, we went for a 4-1-4-1 and played with 2 attacking midfielders and tried to sort of try and play a little bit higher up the pitch, and it didn't work as much. And Maris didn't have the space which Hendry sort of was used to.
It wasn't the same free role, was it?
No, it wasn't. And I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced that Maris could play that. I would be interested to see. For me, I think the interesting one where we're going to have a real look of what we've got as a squad is going to be when we take on Harrogate in the EFL Trophy game, because we're going to look at players that have not had many minutes. We're going to see a really good run out for Joe Gardner. We're probably going to see, a little bit more of Dom Dwyer, who we've not seen as much so far. You're bound to see a little bit of minutes for Reeks Oates and, a few more tweaks here and there, especially, at the back as well. But I don't know. I don't think there's much point in going out and getting out for our Regan Hendry replacement, because we've got Joe Gardner, who I think can play in that role. We've got many midfielders that we can sort of put in those positions and mix around. I like the forward three, the attacking midfield three, to be so fluid that any of them can play anywhere. So there's that. We've not even talked about, Kyle McAdam. He's been sort of frozen out after the first 2 games. He could potentially play in that wide left role and bring Max Dickoff into the middle. Yeah. I don't think we need to key that area. I think you've probably hit the nail on the head, Jim. I think Clough's playing a little bit of coyness with trying to not alert people because, of course, this is the last opportunity to go and sign a player before January. So automatically the price is going to go up 20%, isn't it, tomorrow? So, yeah, it's catch-22.
You can't stand there and go, God, we're desperate. Because the selling clubs go, well, right, great.
Yeah. Well, oh, you want him, do you? That'd be another 100 grand. It doesn't quite work, does it? It's
new left back incoming tomorrow then.
You know what, we've seen stranger things. Does anyone think on that, on the transfer thing tomorrow, that we may see 1 or 2 go the opposite way and open up a slot?
If the check's big enough, for sure.
It wouldn't surprise me if a random player like an Aaron Lewis or somebody like that just disappeared.
Who do you think's most likely to go? Who do you think would be? For me, I think Aaron Lewis or George Maris.
I think Dave could be up there, and I only say that because I think he's got lots of interest from others.
I think they've all got a price, if I'm honest.
Oh God, yeah. I think anyone who had a decent offer, they'd be out the door. There's not many who would say absolutely. Well, I don't know who he would say absolutely no chance to. Don't know.
I think under normal circumstances, any sizable check will persuade us to let a player go.
Quite rightly, though, for a club of our size.
Like ours has to be. But we've just probably earned ourselves £250,000 at Everton. And maybe that takes that little bit of pressure off. And according to the club and Clough, we haven't paid a transfer fee for any of the players coming in. So the book must be fairly well balanced at the moment. Interestingly, somebody on social media earlier on was suggesting Bamford might be a good bloke to take on as a striker. I think you're probably right, but if you can get fit, but can we afford his 50 grand a week?
There's a lot of good players the other thing that we forget about is just because the transfer window slams shut, we say this every year, doesn't mean we can't pick up a free agent. It's exactly the same with Lee Gregory. We could decide Tuesday morning that he's fit and available to play. As long as we've got a squad registration place, we can register players who were previously free agents, so we can pick up anyone up until, I think, late November time.
Do we know how many slots we have?
I think we need to sit down and go through it in terms of ages, but I think we've got 2. I'm not entirely sure.
I feel like it's more than 1 because he's always been talking about Gregory plus another coming in. So
there must be
2.
I think we've got at least 2 to come in because obviously I don't think we've really replaced Uncle Stephen in that particular thing either. So,
do you think he's keeping the slot open for Lucas?
I think that's a no-brainer. I think he's definitely going to keep that open, but I think that's a topic of conversation for when that.
There's a whole program in that.
Yeah, there is a whole program in that. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team if you wish to do so. We'd love to hear from you tonight. I know a few of you have done so already. Keely says, would love to see Gregory back, but sadly it won't be happening. I don't think we need a replacement for midfield. I think it's definitely a striker. Simon says, just tuned in. We need a forward to hold the ball up. It's not Dwyer's game, and Evans does struggle on his own. Lee says, I think yesterday McDonnell was missing that partnership with Reed a little, which is also didn't go well with the other changes made. And that's also something which we're going to have to bear in mind for next Saturday, because, of course, international weekend, but we can't get the game off. The game is going ahead because of... I think the FA or the EFL's ruling surrounding under 23 players. There's not really a bracket for it, so it's
that's not the reason. The main reason they can't call it off is because Mansfield Matters crew are there in numbers.
That is true. Yes. Forgot about that. Mansfield Matters away travel is going to that one. That's the.
We don't do local games.
We don't do local. We don't do local. Unfortunately, we've got other things on. I could get to my TV screen. I think I managed to log on and buy my pass yesterday at 1:03. So I was actually delighted when it was pushed back by 15 minutes yesterday. So
I had a 4-year-old's birthday party in Lincoln.
I mean, yeah.
It was in Lincoln.
No excuse for you not to go to the game either after that, but there you go. Katie says, I don't think it's been a bad month. We're currently sat in 10th. We've had Everton, held Everton off with some confidence. I finished watching that game feeling proud, even with a 2-0 loss. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and Lee asks, where would you play Dave if he stays? Well, first and foremost, if he goes... tomorrow on deadline day, I will cry, I will throw a paddy, I will go and sit outside Moncall Stadium, I will demand answers from Clough and from them because Dave can't go. same if somebody came in for Bowery tomorrow, I would be fuming if we let him go. We'll talk more about him later. But on that, where would I play him? It's an interesting quandary, because I do think, and as much as we've had lots of discussion about it over the last couple of weeks, I do think that there is value in us playing the 3 centre-backs at some point. But in order to do that, and this is why we've not been good enough at doing it, we need to have a balance between a right footer, a left footer, and someone who can play both. So Dave being fit and available would open that up. I know we sort of played Hewitt or Noyle in there when we did, but we played him in the wrong position. I think we've talked about that as well. I think Dave would be a really natural fit if we were playing a back 3 to play on the right side of a 3 alongside Sweeney and Cargill. If we were playing a back 4, I would potentially look to play him in there. Who he gets in ahead of, I don't know at the minute, because can you honestly say that Jordan Bowery deserves dropping? I think he's been one of the best defenders that we've had for a while. He's looked really solid there. The other option, of course, would be to play him in that defensive midfield role, a role which he's no stranger to. He played it at Burton a while. And, you know, if we're going to have these weekends where we're going to be missing Jamie McDonnell through international call-ups and Lewis Reed through injury or suspension, Nick, I think he would be the ideal fit to come and sit there.
Yeah, at the minute, I don't think he gets ahead of Bowery and Cargill. I know he was our player of the year last season, but for me, he doesn't get ahead of those 2. And I'm sure we'll wax lyrical about Bert Bowery and his Port Butchers later. But yeah, for me, he doesn't get in ahead of those 2. I don't see the 5 as a viable long-term solution. So I think I agree with you. I think he could play alongside McDonnell, especially in the games where we're expected to be maybe a little bit more under the cosh, maybe have a little bit less time on the ball. Because ultimately, Dave isn't as good as Reed on the ball in terms of a passing player. And I think having McDonnell there has really brought Reed's game on from last season. I thought he was quite poor last season. And I think McDonnell's dynamism has allowed Reed to not have to get back and do the dirty work as much as he had to last season. And I think that's helped him. But I do think in more defensive games, Dave alongside McDonnell, I think could be brilliant. You could even try and push Reedy further forward if you needed to, and have all 3 of them on the pitch. But yeah, certainly I think Dave could definitely do that.
Clive?
I think a fit Dave pushes Sweeney out.
I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. I think Sweeney's got a lot more to come. I think I think he was always going to be made captain when he returned, but he's come back into a side and where Nigel Clough in pre-season, Jim, was very much adamant on playing this back 5 and has not quite settled in. If you think back to when Ryan Sweeney was at his best for Mansfield, it was when he was in a back 4. And even when I've seen him elsewhere, he's looked a lot better when he's been in a back 4. When he's in a back 3, a little bit like the John Joe O'Toole situation and Aidan Flint as well, you know, and Alfie Kilgore last season. Some players work better in a 4. Some players work better in a 3. It's just the way it is.
When he was first with us, he was a much more of a footballing defender as well. But now he just seems to be a bit of a stopper.
Header kick it.
Yeah. I just think with how we want to play, he's just a bit of a square peg in a round hole, I think. And I think there's other people ahead of him because of that. And he's got his qualities, but I just think, no, he doesn't get in our best 11 at the moment, for me.
I think we've just got to, look at him. Because I thought at the C word, I can't swear in this room, I thought he played really, really well because we had Barry at right back rather than right side centre half, Sweeney and Cargill at centre back. I thought he played quite well. It's just about finding that right fit for him and looking at where he is. So, yeah, it's an interesting one on that front, trying to sort of bring those in. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Can we also talk about how well, where's that gone? How well Liam Roberts is doing because, wow, he's been amazing. Obviously, one of many signings in the summer, Jim, one of 10 signings so far. Little bit of a sluggish start, but I think that the C word game really brought him out of his skin. He looks like he's loving life again.
Roberts. Oh God, yeah, he moves the needle, doesn't he? I think he's going to be worth 10 points this season. He does he's not a flashy per se goalkeeper, but he does the basics well, and you know what you're going to get. And I think you can tell that his centre backs and all his defenders have got confidence in him, and it spreads throughout the team. When Pim lost his confidence, it did for us, didn't it? And I think he's really addressed that, Roberts, and he's one of our better signings, I think.
I think what we do need him to work on, though, Clive, a little bit is his distribution. Sometimes he gets it on his right foot, and I'm thinking, where we're going with this? There was one yesterday where got a bit of hot water. Sometimes his left, he doesn't lift it as much, but he can't be perfect. He's League One for a reason.
I can live with that. He hasn't got the fallibilities that we saw in the 2 games against Lincoln last year with the previous incumbent to that shirt. I've christened him after the event as Flapper because he seemed to flap at an awful lot of high crosses. Roberts doesn't seem to suffer that.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't suffer fouls either, does he, Nick? He's a very confident goalkeeper, which is what you want.
Yeah, I think there was a few times that certainly on Wednesday night, Everton had a few chances to shoot from the edge of the box. I know they put one in the top corner, but a lot of the time I wasn't worried. Whereas when we had Pim in the goal, I was nervous that they were going to shoot from anywhere. Like, oh God, this is going to go in. Whereas with Roberts, you just assume that he's going to save it. I think he's definitely made the defence a lot more comfortable, and they feel a lot more capable, I think, with him in goal than we did.
He just does the basics of the position well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's always seems to be in the right place. He takes a lot of shots straight at him, and that's normally because he's in the right place, not because the shots weren't very good. It's just he happens to be in the right part of the goal.
There's no bells and whistles, but he does what he has to do. I don't know when in football just doing the basics of your position well went out of fashion. You watch some Premier League games and it's the complete opposite, and you think, what's going on here?
Especially at League One, we don't need a fancy pants goalkeeper, do we? We just need someone who can catch it. And when it comes to them, they kick it. And quick distribution, I think Roberts has been good at that as well. When he gets it, if there's an option on, he'll throw it.
I know, Craig, you're not a big fan of Premier League football. And
never watched it.
Today, but talking of fancy pants goalkeepers, there's been some really, really strange performances from goalkeepers being paid an awful lot of money. International players. I can think of Banana for one.
Did you say banana? I'm all right, thanks. I've got cake.
Banana if you want. But you're right. Jim's right. Sensible, good, thought through footballing technique is what we need in every level, no less so in a goalkeeper. And the fact that he's about 2 or 3 inches taller than Pim helps an awful.
It's a bit of a coup for us as well from Millwall. We don't that often sign players on a permanent from Championship clubs. He played a few games last season.
I think he needed a fresh start, didn't he, after the FA Cup thing?
Big time.
I think that booted that lad's head off.
I do think that was playing on his head in the first few games. I think out of everybody, we as a team needed that Chesterfield game because we'd not clicked in the opening 2 fixtures against Burton and Doncaster. We had not clicked. We weren't there. The rhythm wasn't there. The cohesion wasn't there. The teamwork and the ethic wasn't there. But against Chesterfield, it did really click. They could see how much it meant to the fans. They all came together, and you could see the post-match video that they'd all come together. And that little jig from Liam Roberts was sort of signified it. And then Bowery sort of smashing his chest and pumping the badge. That was the light bulb moment.
I think you're right, but also if you reflect on the first 2 games when we got no points, we could have easily got things out of both those games.
But we were poor in those games.
We weren't good, but then again, the start of the season, nobody's that good. I mean, we didn't win. We didn't lose to 2 brilliant sides. Doncaster were very lucky to take the points, and it was 2 worldies that lost us the game at Burton.
It's a blessing though, because it's changed the system, hasn't it? And that's made a massive difference.
Yeah, the tactical tweak on the system is definitely the thing for me, which has been the biggest impact. We talk about players and the importance of players. We'll talk about Bowery in just a second, Jim. But we could see, couldn't we, that the 5 at the back, maybe because of, like we alluded to earlier, the players played slightly out of position or being wrong-footed, wasn't quite working. But going to a 4-2-3-1, or a solid back 4 base, just seems to suit pretty much every player in that squad far more than playing a 3. I know we played with a 3 a little bit yesterday against 10 men, but that works when you're against 10 men because you're dominating the ball, you're getting higher up the pitch, and you can afford to be a little bit more expansive. But 11v11, the basis for me for success for this team has to be build from a back 4, 4-2-3-1.
Oh, definitely. It gets most of our best players on the pitch and gets the best out of them en masse. I mean, there's certain casualties to that. Like, I don't think it particularly suits Dwight and people like that, but it looks solid, defensively sound, and we look dangerous going forward. And for me, we higher up the pitch as well as a unit, whereas with the back 3, there's always a danger it turns into a 5 and it just drags too deep. So I was
just checking the sound of the podcast. I had a message from Big Tone saying it's gone off. I don't think it has.
Big Tone, it's you. Sure.
Yeah, Big. Can we do like what's it called? Shiraz, because he obviously can't hear us. So Big Tone, it's you. It's you. You're the problem, Big Tone. I think. Hang on. Big Tone is the problem. There you go. But thanks for letting us know, Big Tone. Refresh your feed. Give it a refresh.
Craig, can I just explain to those people who are not part of the Mansfield Matters travelling clan that Big Tony is so named because his name's not Tony.
It
And
is
it's not
big. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's Nick's
it's
dad.
the perfect nickname, really, isn't it?
it is. I love it. A bit like Bert Bowery's put Butchers. Talking of Bert Bowery, let's talk about him. We spoke about the tactical tweak. I think it's obviously impacted on Regan Hendry. Shame that he's going to be injured for probably 4 to 8 weeks or whatever the usual Mansfield thing is, Clive. But Jordan Bowery has been absolutely immense. There was a lot of people in the summer, before he signed his contract extension for a year, that were saying, why don't we just let him go? He's been there, he's done it. We've had what we're going to have out of Jordan Bowery. He has proved every single one of those wrong. And to the woman in the lift on the way back from the Everton game who said,
Talking rubbish.
Absolute rubbish, he was saying he's the worst player on the pitch.
Well, that shows that not everybody understands the game well enough. But I think the comment was he never gets past 100 vans or whatever it is. Presumably that's one of the signs at the side of the ground.
Yeah.
If you think he's still a striker because he's got a 9 on his back, I could understand that misunderstanding. But he's not been a striker for years, and what he has done is been adaptable. He's been able to take up any position pretty much and do justice to it. And he's been I believe this season so far, he's the player. This is the best player we've had this year.
Yeah.
And he deserved his contract extension, but on the basis of what he'd done last year.
Yeah.
And it's not because he banged goals. He was never going to be asked to do that. So I think, we've got to recognise it. Things change. And Jordan, towards the end of his career, has changed and made himself very, very powerful in another position.
Yeah, he's probably extended his career by another 2 or 3 seasons, to be fair, at some level. And that's post Mansfield. I don't want to ever see him leave. But I think, he's probably extended his career in that way. I think him and Cargill, Jim, for me, have become a right pairing, haven't they? They seem to understand each other. They understand each other's roles. And, you look at Everton for a prime example on Wednesday night. What was long-haired Grealish worth? 100 million? Jordan Bowery, he couldn't get past Jordan Bowery. Imagine spending £100 million on a player and you can't get past Jordan Bowery. What does that say more?
I wasn't impressed with Grealish at all. I can't see what the fuss is about him, to be honest with you. And Noyle as well had him locked up as well when he drifted out left. But no, I agree. I think Cargill and Bowery is our best partnership. The left and right foot balance, and they work well together. And they're also, again, they come back to the way we want to play. They fit it. I think it was the Evans' goal against Leyton Orient was Bowery running down the right wing from centre back.
Yeah,
I don't see Sweeney. I don't see Dave wanting to do that.
It's an awareness of the pitch and what's in front of you, and it's almost that thing of, if I was a striker, what would I be doing, and sort of looking at it from a different way and reading the game. And that, you say that the Leyton Orient one, the one at the C word was, what it was, but that was because he was playing as a 9 and he was actually going to do the physical press, what a number 9 should be doing. But as a centre back, the goal against Leyton Orient, we'd stretched the game wide with Noyle getting up the pitch, so the centre backs then have to step up and see the space. He did it superbly well. And
let's remember this: he's still a superb athlete. I mean, he has got pace. He's not in the game for being. He's not a flying winger, but he's got pace and he can come away from defence with confidence because he's got the pace to take other players on. Not many can do that at the moment. Elliott, at his best, could do it, but I think we have to respect Jordan for what he's bringing to the game at the moment, which is versatility and capability. Clough knows that. Most people know that. Some people won't understand it, but that's fair enough. But I think if I was God for the day, I'd buy 9 more Bowerys.
And this is why I'm saying, if we see a thing tomorrow from social media saying Jordan Bowery leaves.
No, he can't.
I'd be fuming.
If Mansfield Town shut down, he'd be the last one turning the light off.
Can I just contradict Jim for a minute? I mean, we contained the £100 million player quite well, but he's only just getting into his stride again, having been ignored by his. No,
I'm not having it. 100. If you're worth £100 million, you should be on it like that. Not a chance.
Shut your fizzle. The reality is, it doesn't matter how much he was paid to come from Aston Villa to Manchester City. He's now on loan to another Premiership side. He will do very well there. In fact, I watched the game last night on TV, and he was the difference between the game being won and not being won. So give him some time to get into his new role. And the fact is, they've not paid a fee for him, which looked like remarkable business from Everton's point of view. But let's not forget, he's on about £200,000 a week. Now, our entire wage bill at Field Mill isn't £200,000 a week.
It's probably not even £200,000 a year, is it?
Jordan Bowery gets paid in sausages.
He does. Yeah.
But I thought you look at all 4 of our defenders now. For me, I would take FBT out and put Maka in. That's my personal opinion. But all 4 of those are so good on the ball and so capable of.
Yeah.
The amount of times you see Cargill, especially, he'll have the ball and then the space just opens and he's in it. He's gone. Whereas the likes of Sweeney or Dave, like you said, will just probably more likely hoof it. Whereas Cargill and Barry will just go straight in space, and Noyle is fantastic as well.
And then you've got McDonnell, who's awareness to drop into
back,
that exactly position.
Yeah.
That's what makes us so solid.
I would agree with that.
It creates the overloads, doesn't it? If the
Yeah.
centre back's stopping up, and
Especially when you've got the fullback, the winger, and the left centre back pushing in that direction. It really did. Even against Everton, it created a few overloads down the wide.
So if you're playing that as an opposition, you don't know who to pick up, do you? You've got people coming from everywhere.
Not when Cargill comes and Barry comes from 30 yards back.
I think we need to keep McDonnell fit. That's important.
He's going to be a massive loss of Wickham.
I think so, but that's the price you pay for having quality players in your side. You're going to get call-ups occasionally. But we have enough players. As you said already, we've got enough players and they're covering just about every position, notwithstanding the odd injury. And we know the crisis in terms of strikers being laid up. But in the midfield, we've got plenty of resource. So we should be
I'm not sure, are we really in midfield? I don't think.
I'd sooner play him now than in February when they've got it together. Let's play him now. We'll get a good team out with a week off.
We're in good form, aren't we? Like we said just before we started, with 4 unbeaten. They're not playing particularly well. I'll just play them.
Third from bottom, aren't they, so far?
Just get it out.
Real hangover from last season.
Like Jim says, get out of the way, play them.
Yeah. Barry has been a different man since his last season. Looks bigger, fitter, and overall a better player. Not that he wasn't exceptional last season, says Ross. Simon says he's Mr. Mansfield. Lee says Barry must have been our oldest player on the pitch against Orient and still caught their quick number 10. Sir Bowery says Marie is having a blinder of a season so far. JB9 is underrated. He's been absolutely brilliant this season. It was nice to see him up front at the Spirites. He made me nervous last season sometimes, but him and Cargill have been brilliant, says Keeley. Barry let him out of his pocket on the walk back to the coach, says Ross, talking about Grealish. What does Barry do differently to all the others? Jordan is very rarely injured, says Marie. And Ross says that's because he's not a wet wipe. Ross says, Dave, Cargill and Barry will make an immense defence. Mack it out on the left. It's not a bad shout, to be fair. And he also adds, McDonnell isn't scared to stick a good tackle in and push people off the ball. You've got to have that little rat in midfield, that man who's going to be the artful dodge. You're going to go in, pick a pocket or two, and not afraid to pick up a bucket. He covers a lot of ground, and like we were saying, he suits the tactic very, very well. I think if we were without him, we'd be a lot worse off, and his absence definitely will be shown.
I think he's one of the few players we've had from the Premier League or Championship side that you can tell straight away could just walk into their team.
Oh, 100%.
I honestly think he could walk into at least be on Forest bench.
Yeah,
he's that. He looks to me cut and above what we've had. We've had Premier League loan players before, and you think, well, how on earth were they in the Premiership? Yeah. But then you look at him, and he could waltz into a Championship lower Premier League team. I'm sure.
Out of them all, is he the one that's impressed you most of the 10 newbies so far, Clive, or is there another standout?
Definitely, and you're right. He's got a degree of class that is better than we've seen in the past from loanees. I thought Brunt came strong, but he was shaky to start with.
He needed that mentorship, didn't he? Whereas
he's doing
McDonnell's
very well
coming
now,
in
his new club. But I think it's a very big year for McDonnell. You know, what he does this year will determine what he does next year, and then that could be back at his host club. It could be that a price lands on his head and someone else will take him on. I'd like to think we could keep him on. Don't have any real confidence in that.
Yeah, don't fall in love with him because he will not be a Mansfield Town player. And to be honest,
get a shirt while I can.
And I would as well. To be honest, if he has a good 6 months and consistently, it might even have the recall option in January, and Forest might want to move him on to the Championship, which would be a devastating blow for us. But again, that's the risk that you take with loan players. Before we take a break, let's have a quick look through those that we've brought through in the summer then so far. Of course, the transfer window does slam shut on Monday. I think it's 7 o'clock, which is a real weird time, but like we said, we can sign free agents after. Obviously brought Ryan Sweeney back, 2-year deal. Regan Hendry, 2-year deal. Liam Roberts, 2-year deal. Kyle Noyle, 2 years. Loneys, Kyle McAdam on a 1 year from Forest. Nathan Mariah Welsh, little Nobby Welsh, 2-year deal. Joe Gardner also from Forest, yet to see anything of him. Jamie McDonnell, who we've just been waxing lyrical about as well. And then Luke Bolton, a 2-year deal as well. And then Max Dickoff before the extra game on a 1-year deal. He's been a bit of a surprise package for me, Jim. He looks quite hungry, and he seems to have found a little space for himself, doesn't he, on the left wing?
Yeah,
not his natural position by all accounts.
Very impressive. I thought his first appearance, it seemed to pass him by a bit, but he soon got into his stride. And I think was it the 2 home games Blackpool and Leighton Orient, I thought he was excellent. His awareness and his, is just seeing the picture in front of him. I thought it was really good. And he's athletic, he's fast, he can get about, and I think
he works
really,
hard, doesn't he?
Yeah, really fits into the new system. And
I think the fact that he works hard and when he's fit, and I don't think we've seen him at his fittest yet. He's got real pace, and you can see he drags two players with him wherever he goes, and that's great to have on your pitch.
Yeah, it's a good one for us. I think Luke Bolton is probably more to come from him. I think he's probably still struggling with a few injuries and having not played at Wrexham for a while as well. I think he's got to find his feet a little bit. I do get the feeling sometimes, and this is the problem, when this is not a dig at Wrexham by any stretch of the imagination or any team like that, but when you are a team who has got an extensive source of resource, Nick, one thing that will happen is you'll go out and purchase all these key big name players, and then you struggle to get them in, and one or two of those players, when they're not playing consistently, does have a negative effect on their game. And I think we're seeing the effects of that a little bit from Luke Bolton. I think we've got to manage him, how we get the best out of him now for the next 3-4 months, because I don't think he's a consistent 90-minute player, because he's not had it for the last year.
No, it's very similar, I think, to when we got promoted out of the conference, when we used to go around signing players just so other teams couldn't have them. And you look at the amount of players that season who played like once or twice for the Stags and then never played again. But yeah, they've got that. I think it seemed a good sign at the time because he was ripping it up for Salford, wasn't he? But like you say, then they started spending stupid money on strikers, and he just hasn't played. I don't think Brunt's played much this year for him, has he? One I've seen, he's not been playing. I think
he started the last game. That's all I've seen of him, and not played much.
They just sign these players, don't they? And at the time, and then they sort of grow, and then they don't need them anymore. So, but I mean, hopefully we're the beneficiary of it. But he does look severely undercooked compared to the other players. He was unlucky not to score against Everton, I thought. When he cut inside and hit it into the top corner, I thought that was going into Keane or Tarkowski, whatever, headed it out. But glad he got his goal, though. I think that's a real big thing for him, is scoring goals. We haven't really seen his pace yet, have we? He's not really been put into a position where he's been able to show his pace. So let's hope that... and I think he played the guy on side, I think, on Saturday as well for their goals. I don't know whether he's marking him in the first place. But it was... I think he needs a few more games to grow. But we can't be relying on playing him week in, week out. He's got to, have a game, miss a game a little bit, which is what Klopp's been doing with him, hasn't he, so far? Yeah, it's just about managing expectations and managing time. Right, plenty still more to come. Have your side and your team if you want to do so in the comments. Anything you want to talk about, drop them in the comments and we'll try our best to reference them. After the break, we will look ahead to our September fixtures and, of course, give you the first rundown of who is where in the podcast predictions table now that August is over. Don't go anywhere.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
Welcome back to Mansfield Matters, the sock cast, where during the break Clive was admiring Nick's sock. What do you like about his sock, Clive? What's so good about his sock?
Well, they make his ankles look very sexy.
Thank you very much. They're vibrant, aren't they? Yeah, that's the socks, not the ankles.
This is what
nothing vibrant about these ankles.
This is what I have to put up with. You see, on Mansfield Matters away days, talk about Nick's sock and Bert Barry's.
I did spend 2.5 hours on Clive's lap.
Yes, you did. You got very close on Wednesday night. Yeah.
I'm going to just say, I also spent 2.5 hours of my life creating a poem about Barry.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Would you like me to share it?
Yes, I would. Yes. Is there any swearing in it?
None at all.
That's all right then. It's family friendly.
Is it clean?
It's a very short. You'll wonder where the 2.5 hours went when I've done it.
Oh, I won't. Trust me, I won't.
Very, very short. JB9 is phenomenal. He really drops a clanger. And Nick has got his match-worn shirt, and he keeps it on a hanger. Thank you. Jim, I think you're not impressed, are you?
I'm blown away by it.
2 hours and 25 minutes. You must have been doing something different.
I don't know where you spent all the time, Clive, to be fair, but there you go.
On that bombshell.
Right. Is it coming up with ridiculous anecdotes about what Jordan Barry's dad does as a business post-football?
Let me just tell you this. I've been ridiculed to the point of tears coming back from...
I feel like the audience needs to know this because we've referenced this.
At some point, I believed, because I thought somebody must have said, that Bert Bowery, who was
Jordan's dad,
father,
the first player
that's
signed by Brian Clough of Forest.
unarguable, first player to be signed by his father, Mr. Clough, long since left the game, and I understood he'd gone into running a butcher's shop. Now, I may have had
What's a butcher's?
I may have embellished that by saying a pork butcher's because I'm that age. There used to be things called pork butchers. Now it's probably true that he never was a butcher at all, but unfortunately we've now made him a butcher, and so Bert Bowery's got a butcher's shop. Jordan will wonder what the chuffing hell we're talking about.
Most people do.
Yeah, and it's irrelevant.
It's true.
Yeah, we've even gone to the point of creating some artwork.
We have.
For his butcher's shop,
Just in case.
I don't know whether they can bring it up, Craig. Can you?
I can in 5 minutes. Yeah.
All right, we'll do it later then.
Carry. I'm going to find it whilst you're doing that.
But I was adamant that was a factoid and not a, not just a rumor out the head of Clive Park. And I thought that was real.
Well, I'm still not dismissing.
And you said it because you even said it was in Derby somewhere.
Yeah, well, Alveston.
Alveston, yeah.
Where is it? Right.
I think we'll go for the bar.
We go for that one. You want that one?
We want that one. Is that the right one to show?
It's slightly racy, that one.
It is a
We'll
bit.
go with the other one.
What about the other one?
We'll go with that one.
Yeah,
All right,
that one,
go with
that's
that
better.
one. Okay.
Yeah, let's go with that
We'll
one.
go with that one. I'll put it on the screen in just a second. I've got to mess about with it to do it.
But I mean, that did take us at least 2 hours of the trip home.
We went an awful lot of time not going anywhere coming back, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's
The
very true.
M62 was
The roadworks department of the M62,
Yeah.
and the fact that the motor was closed on the way in as well. I'm sure it got brought up there, but
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Bert Bowery's Pork Butchers. There you go.
Yeah.
that's Bert Bowery kicking a banger.
So if you've ever heard
I
us,
forgot what the strap line was on the other one. Something about meet your goals.
we always meet your goals.
We have
Yeah.
another one. Show them the other
I
one.
can't show the other
You
one.
can't show the other
that because I've got to then download it. So
Oh.
there you go.
Because it's 2025 and you can't do anything.
Well,
You cannot snap.
We're APC.
So yeah, if ever you've heard us reference Bert Bowery on this podcast and Bert Bowery's Pork Butchers, or you've been near us during a game and thinking, what the bloody hell are they on about? That is it. So Mansfield Matters Podcast is sponsored now by Bert Bowery's Pork Butchers. And if Bert Bowery does indeed own a Pork Butchers, then
We'll be there.
we'll be there. We're live.
We're live
And
outside.
if you're listening, Bert, even if you've never had a pork butcher's, feel free to sponsor us.
Yes. There you go. Right. Shall we move on to some normality, shall we? And look ahead to what Bert Bowery's
Have
son's
to.
going to be getting up to in September, shall we? Lots of fixtures coming thick and fast, but not many midweek games, Jim. So Nigel Clough will be happy to, get some work done on the training ground. Starts off with the trip to Wickham on Saturday the 6th. Not had the greatest of starts of Wickham, have they? I think they're 22nd in the table at the moment. Bit of a hangover from last season. So actually, as much as we're frustrated that we may be missing Jamie McDonnell for that one, probably a good time to play them, isn't it? They're not in great form. And
100%, yeah. Well, before they get any momentum, and you think we're missing players, they've sold all their players, all their best players. So yeah, let's play the game, get it done. Yeah.
Big game for me, Tuesday the 9th of September. Nick, Harrogate at home in the cup. There'll be about 4 people that are watching it, as these cup fixtures usually don't attract many people. However, that said, it's a big game for me because of the fact that we've been playing pretty much a regular 11 for the past 3 or 4 games. It's a good opportunity to have a look at some other players. Like we mentioned earlier, we've not seen anything of Joe Gardner unless you was in Ireland and you saw him for 10 minutes. There's more to come, from the likes of Reece Oakes getting minutes in his legs if we need to. Potentially got Dave coming back as well. Looking at other formations, looking at other shapes, looking at other players. So a good opportunity to have a look at them, and hopefully Owen Mason as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good opportunity for all those. I'd have liked to have seen the Bishop Street open. In my selfishness, that
Same.
I wanted to sit in there. But yeah, I think it'll be good for a lot of players to get some minutes. Maybe see some of the young lads as well. Flanagan and a few of the others who've played in pre-season. I thought some of them looked decent in the games we went to.
Now, do you know who Finn Flanagan is? Because you didn't recognise him, did you?
Well, no.
In your defence, it was 1 o'clock in the morning.
It was later than that. It was got to be later than 1 o'clock. It's got to have been. It was 1:45, I think. And I was deciding which chocolate bar to purchase. And a man stood behind me in a full Stags tracksuit, said, "Difficult choice, isn't it?" And I looked at him and went, "You're a footballer," but I couldn't work out who he was. He bought a massive bag of of Maltesers, so I thought, well, he can't be in the first team. Clough will be having that on the bus, would he? But it was Finn Flanagan, so I hope he plays.
Yeah.
I've said that. No, I
Oh,
misrecognized him.
Malteser.
Yeah, I didn't misdiagnose him. I just didn't know who he was. But yeah, he was there. He was at the service station. Yeah, good opportunity to play. Nice to see Mason play. Hopefully, he normally plays in, or the substitute goalkeeper plays normally in the Stuff Crust Cars Trophy, doesn't he? So he'll be in that, no doubt.
Can we rename this to the Burt Bowery Port Butchers Trophy?
I think it would give it gravitas.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it'd add some more fans to it.
The Pork Cup.
Burt Bowery Port Butchers Cup.
Yeah.
Pork Products Cup.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the pork preliminary round. So I think it'd be a good game. Nice to play some other players and hopefully a bit of confidence for them as well and win.
I can't get to that game because it won't be screened anywhere in Norway, I don't suppose. So I shan't be watching it. So I shall.
You can get.
You can't afford to miss
no,
that.
if you're.
Very
Alright.
good.
You're taking your tablet with you.
I've got a whole load of tablets to take with me.
Well, not them ones. The digital one.
I don't know whether I'm going to switch anything on for a week.
It'll be on iFollow. You
I'm
can
taking a sabbatical, I think.
Well, there you go.
We spend too much time looking at our screens.
And I thought there'd been no way that you'd miss that game, but there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Jim, Nick mentioned the Bishop Street there from a selfish point of view. If anyone for the club's watching this, I know sometimes we maybe drop little ideas and occasionally they get picked up, like calling a player Dave and various other bits and bobs down the years. My appeal to them is open the Bishop Street stand, because there are a lot of fans whose season ticket may be elsewhere in the ground or whatever that want to go and do it for a one-off nostalgia. I don't think they'd have a problem in selling tickets in there, to be honest. Do you?
That was my idea. I wanted to sit there, for a cup game.
So
just
that's
to see
3 seats sold already, isn't it? 4 because I'll take my dad. 5 because you'll take Big Tone.
Yeah, little one's coming
6
as well.
because you'll take little one.
I don't want to move my seat, but I want to try it out.
Well,
And
see the
that would
view.
be
Yeah,
nice.
I want to do some milling in the best damn toilets in the land.
Yeah.
So
Missed a trick there, aren't they?
yeah. So if
In reality, these games we're now talking about used to command hundreds rather than thousands of spectators anyway. And as that Bishop Street stand holds 727 fans,
yeah,
with the best damn toilets in the land, etc., that would have been a perfect place for it. Although it may make the rest of the ground look empty. I suppose that's the argument against it.
it would be the arguments against it. And I do think that typically once it gets to the night of the game, the lower tier does tend to fill up pretty much. But you could then just open the Quarry Lane.
I think we'll end up with more than 727 fans for the game against Harrogate, because we are interested to see what resources look like that aren't getting on the main stream at the moment.
Yeah, very much so. And after that Harrogate game then, home game against Stevenage on Saturday the 13th. They're doing quite well at the minute.
Still in
the
Norway.
table. Are you going to sell your ticket for that one?
Already given it somebody.
There you go. Port Vale away on the 23rd. They've not on the 20th. Sorry, they're in 23rd in the table.
That's
a great
too
start.
local for us, that, isn't it?
Too local for us, that one. Come and talk to us when it's like Plymouth. We'll be there at Plymouth. We
Not
went to there.
Chesterfield, not Lincoln, but
Not Port
Wickham
Vale.
and Plymouth.
Yeah,
I'm
Wickham and
going to
Plymouth.
say I'm going to Port Vale.
There you go. And Rotherham to finish the month on the 27th as well, 19th place as well. So a good lot of fixtures, Jim. I think important that we try and carry on this bit of momentum that we built up. There's no expectation on any of our shoulders, I don't think, so far this season to go and do anything. But, we saw last season how important it was to get points on the board early. And I don't think it would be any exception this year either.
No, I mean, every game's tough, isn't it? Apart from Peterborough last year, they were all tough. And I think even though those fixtures look appealing from our point of view, I don't think any of them will be easy in their own way. But I think any time there's league points on the table, I'd never be flippant about getting as much as we can from them. And yeah, absolutely, try and get as much as we can.
Adam in the comments says Bishop Street stand speaker system makes Alan inaudible. Turn volume up and point speakers down rather than getting the sound on the ceiling. Support hearing Alan. Yes, absolutely. And for those that have asked where Alan Wilson is, because he's been absent from this podcast for probably about 3-4 weeks now, he's just not been available. He's retired. He's retired, Clive. He's not got time for us anymore, has he? He's just not got time for his mates at Mansfield Matters.
I can actually support this. As a retired person, you're never busier than when you stop work.
So there you go.
Do tell, how does this work?
I don't know, because I don't get any holidays. I get no overtime, get no sick pay, nothing. And yet I'm doing more work now as a retired person than I ever did when I was being paid.
Tough life, isn't it? Playing
It's
bowls every
upside
day.
down, isn't it?
Tough life playing bowls every day, isn't it? And I think he's just on I think after we took him to Birmingham, Nick, I think Alan's just sort of still wandering around cities looking for where he can empty a bin. I think he's got withdrawal.
He's still there.
He is still there. Yeah.
He's done one street.
Yeah.
He's under a viaduct somewhere near St Andrews. If you do see him, let us know.
Yeah, return Alan Wilson to us, please. We would love to see him. Right, September is coming up upon us. August is over, which means it's time to do one thing, and that's find out how people's guessing's gone.
The game of luck, who gives up, don't mess it up. I hear you say, how do you play? Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score zero, that's the game. But we're not fools, this game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine, remember the rhyme. Remember the rhyme. Guess on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. The death predictions.
Welcome back. Right, it's time for podcast predictions, and let's find out first and foremost who won from the Lincoln game. Obviously, we usually put this on social media, but we're doing a podcast today. We thought we'd treat you all and make you wait because we are that much of a tease. So, for Lincoln, then 8 people predicted a 1-1 draw, but it was Tim P and Chris Vincent who ran out as this week's winners with 18 points apiece. If you want to know your fantasy points, then Nathan Mariah Welsh was the best pick with 9 points, which Harry the Dog is seemingly very happy about. Kyle Noyle got 6, Luke Bolton got you 5, Giorgio Mauricio got you 4, Ryan Sweeney picked you up 3, FBT would have got you 2, as would Bowery, Evans, McDonald and Roberts. If you selected Dickoff, Hendry, Lewis or McLaughlin, that's 1. If you selected Cargill or Dwyer, then no points for you. -5 if you picked anybody else. But what about the overall table then? Well, we're going to put the full table on our social media tomorrow. So make sure you head to at MTFC Matters on all things social media tomorrow to find out where you are in the table. But for now, let's do your top 10. In at 10 on 48 points, it's Kathy Holmes. Joint 9th is me and Craig Foster on 49 points. Darren Wood is on 51 in 8th. Will Pound in 7th on 53. Fathead, former champion, in 6th on 54. In joint 5th, it's Chris Vincent and Steve Nadin. 4th place is Simon Wilson on 56. In 3rd, Dave S., Sam Pateman and Dan Bauer with 61. In 2nd, it's Olivia Wilson on 71. And in 1st place, it's Matt Piercy on 75 points. In terms of the Mansfield Matters table, Nathan is bottom of the table on 10 points. Cam is in 6th on 23. Then it's Nick on 24. Alan is on 30. Jim, you're in 3rd on 43. Clive, you're on 45. And I'm leading the pack on 49 points. It's not a fix. It's not a fix. Right. That means then it's time to guess for Wickham. So, Jim, you're up first.
2-1 win.
He's trying to remember which player he chose last so he doesn't get minus points.
Noyle.
He's going for Noyle. Okay. Clive.
Chairboys 0. Stags 2.
Yeah.
Cargill.
Nick.
1-1 Evans.
Ooh, draw 1-1. Big Will Evans. I am going to go for a 3-1 win, and I am going to go for. I'm going to go for Dickoff. I think. Yeah, I'm going to think he might get himself a goal. So I'm going to go for Max Dickoff for that one. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link that is in the description. Make sure you get your guesses in no later than 90 minutes. 90 minutes. Before kickoff on your selected game. And remember that if you pick the same player 2 weeks in a row, it's -5 points. I don't make the rules. Our podcast predictions guru, Ben, does. Right, let's wrap things up then. Opening month this season, thoughts after the first few games. I'll start with you, Jim, and then I'll work our way around.
Bad start, although you could always see we had a lot in the squad. you can't moan at what we've done since. And I think we're in a good, solid position to push on from here, and pretty optimistic, really.
Clive?
Yeah, we're growing into our close. I think we'll do well. I think 10 points at the end of August and a little bit of a cup flurry. I'd have settled for that any time. So I'm quite optimistic about the way things are looking.
Yeah, good signings. I think the first 2 games, I think system didn't help. We've changed that, and we've had a good cut run. We've earned loads of dosh, and we've got double figures points. Couldn't ask for much more, I don't think.
Absolutely not. What about September then? Obviously, some curveballs coming up. I think obviously, can be you can overlook league positions sometimes. Some tough places to go, but the fact I think that the most important thing for me, Nick, is the fact that we've only got one Tuesday night game.
Yeah, I think that'll help us, won't it? We've got winnable games. They're winnable. I think you look at the away trips of Wickham, like Jim said, not in great form. Port Vale is always winnable whenever we play there. They've just been promoted. And you've got the 2 home games that, to me, again, look winnable. So, yeah, I think a lot of those games are winnable. And if we can get a couple more in this unbeaten run going, especially Saturday and then the Tuesday at Harrogate or home to Harrogate, then, the world's our oyster. I think we can certainly get a couple of wins.
Yeah, if we can replicate in September what we've done in August, I'll be delighted. I think Stevenage looks like a threat. They seem to have got their squad in place and their players playing together and they're scoring goals. But the others are all winnable.
Well, how do we think we can do in September? They look appealing, but as I say, I think every game in the division is tough. If we lost 3 of these 4 games, it wouldn't surprise me. It's that kind of league, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, of course, transfer deadline day is tomorrow, Monday. Deadline, I think, is at 7:00. One player you would be absolutely devastated to see leave, and why?
God, Bowery, because he's just never lets us down.
I would say the same, but I think Dave would be a bigger loss.
I was going to say Barry, but I think that's that unlikely that, there's more chance of me leaving Sporting Mansfield than Barry leaving. I think Dave would be a big loss. I know he hasn't played this season, but I think he would be a big loss. And he's one of the ones who I think we would all say is up there with the most likely to, if anybody does. But Dave, I think for me. Could
probably be because that he's not really played so far this season because of an injury or whatever, and not really had pre-season. But yeah, for me, I would be furious to see Dave go. I'd be even more furious to see Bowery go. One player I wouldn't be surprised if bids come in for him, I'm not saying he will go, would be Bailey Cargill, but I think he's got the potential to really cash in for us. So that would be a blow if we were to see that, but I'm prepared for that at some point. But all of that speculation, and we don't do speculation here on Mansfield Matters. What we do is cake, tea, coffee, and talk about Bert Bowery's Pork Butchers.
Yes, sadly, this music means that our sermon has come to an end. Thank you very much for watching on this Sunday evening. My thanks to the Mansfield Matters podcast panel too for joining me at Mansfield Matters HQ and rinsing my kitchen of tea and cake. I swear that's the only reason they come to my house. September then is just around the corner. Plenty of fixtures to get our teeth stuck into. And if you want to play along with podcast predictions and share your guesses for what might happen in September, game by game, the link that you need is in the description right now. And remember, before each game you must submit your prediction no later than 90 minutes before kickoff, and you can't choose the same player 2 games in a row. That's -5 points. Surely you'll have learnt all that by now. Right, no podcast in midweek, so make sure you get your predictions in for Wickham, and we'll see you probably a week on Thursday. Stay tuned to our social media to find out when and where. That's all we've got time for. Good night.